Have you ever been stuck in a conversation, feeling like you've backed yourself into a corner with nothing left to say? Then you just sit there in awkward silence, overthinking everything, while wondering if the other person can hear your brain working overtime. As someone who used to struggle with anxiety, I know exactly how uncomfortable that can be. I hated those moments, so I decided to figure out how to break free from them. And today, I want to share 3 simple techniques that help me navigate conversations with ease, whether I'm meeting someone new, trying to keep a discussion engaging, or even accepting that sometimes there's just no way to avoid a lull. Before I begin, don't forget to subscribe to Stimulating Minds for more insightful content on personal growth, motivation, and mental well-being. We've all been there. I certainly have. You find yourself in a new setting, a workplace, a class, or a social event, and you're suddenly left alone with someone you barely know. You introduce yourselves and then silence. Now what? Before I did anything else, I focused on getting comfortable with those awkward pauses. It didn't happen overnight, but I realized that silence wasn't the catastrophe I once thought it was. Think about it. When you reflect on past embarrassing moments, you might remember tripping in public or saying something awkward, but do you really remember all the times a conversation just paused? Probably not. Still, avoiding awkward silences doesn't mean conversations always flow smoothly. Sometimes discussions feel stale or repetitive, and I knew I needed a way to keep things interesting. That's when I discovered 3 strategies that changed the way I communicate. There's always more to say if you listen closely. Would you believe me if I told you that even the smallest statement can spark a great conversation? It might seem unlikely, but people rarely express everything they're thinking. They don't provide a novel's worth of context behind their words, and sometimes they aren't even sure what they're fully saying themselves. So, what did I do? I started listening, really listening. Not just hearing words, but paying attention like an English teacher analysing a book. And the key to that? Active listening. For example, if someone casually mentioned, "I cut my hand on Sunday while working on my car," I wouldn't just nod and move on. Instead, I'd ask, "What kind of car do you have? How did you cut your hand? Do you work on cars often? Did it hurt?" Each response naturally leads to new topics. This simple shift made my conversations more engaging without forcing anything. Develop your interests. Because boring people have boring conversations, here's the truth. If I didn't do anything interesting, if I never learned new things, my conversations would be as dry as a salt flat in Utah, and I probably wouldn't make many friends either. Instead of worrying about what to say, I started exploring topics that genuinely interested me, whether it was cars, sports, psychology, hiking, or even random facts. This gave me a natural well of conversation starters. It also made me more excited to talk to people because I had things I actually wanted to share. So, if you ever feel stuck in boring conversations, ask yourself, am I bringing anything interesting to the table? If not, maybe it's time to pick up a new hobby or explore a subject that excites you. Technique 3. Asking questions. No question is too stupid. Curiosity fuels conversation. Let me ask you something. What do you think makes a question stupid? Is it one that seems random? Too basic? Personally, I believe that as long as you're genuinely curious and asking respectfully, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Curiosity is what keeps conversations alive. When I sensed a discussion was drying up, I'd throw in a question that might seem a little unusual, like, "How tall are you, or do you mow your own lawn?" At first glance, these might seem random, but they almost always led to fun, unexpected conversations. Maybe the person loved basketball, or maybe they had never used a lawnmower in their life. The key was allowing the conversation to unfold naturally rather than forcing it. Bonus tip. Sometimes letting go is the best option. Despite all this, I realized that no matter what I did, there were times when conversations just didn't work out. And that's okay. Not everyone is a great conversationalist, and sometimes people just aren't interested in talking. Maybe it's an uninterested date or a co-worker who isn't feeling social. Instead of forcing it, I learned to let go when needed. I stopped trying to water a dead plant and accepted that not every conversation was meant to flow. So those are the techniques that worked for me. If you want a quick crash course on active listening, check out my other video. And if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more tips on communication, confidence, and self-improvement. Let me know in the comments, what's the most awkward conversation moment you've ever had?